Ladies and gentlemen, it appears as though this character...
Kill the rest. Adler is mine.
Is indeed returning to Call of Duty. Now, if you don't know who this is Stitch, aka Vikhor Kuzmin, probably saying that wrong, but he was the main bad guy after the campaign and the leader of Perseus at the end of Black Ops Cold War. Now, if you don't know why I'm saying he is returning, first of all, he has been data mined and found in the files for Black Ops 6 and Warzone. I have more evidence than that in this video, but if you don't know why this is so confusing, this is how things ended for Stitch in the post-seasonal story of Black Ops Cold War.
My life no longer matters. Do what you will. Finish what you started on Rebirth Island. My broadcast was complete. I have changed the world, Adler. In ways you can't even imagine.
The question is, if that's what happened, how do we know, one, he is returning? What is the evidence behind it? And finally, how is this possible? Well, this all started out with Stitch actually getting data mined out of the files. He was found coming as the main operator for the next season, for season 4. So in other words, in about a month from now. Now, all of us started to question this. Is this a code name, something else? But then yesterday in Verdansk, a note was found. And yes, there's been several notes that we have found throughout Verdansk, some referring to the destruction of Verdansk or non-destruction of Verdansk for that matter, and others referring to some other characters altogether, like not wanting to die a traitor. However, one was found within hospital, and there's a lot that is interesting about it. First of all, this note is found on the 3rd floor of the tall hospital building, specifically in a procedure room. Now, laying on the table is a sat phone, as well as a tray with a bunch of surgical scissors, aka Kelly clamps inside of it, as well as the note that reads this: to the owner of this phone, how old is this thing? I couldn't track you down since there are no saved numbers or data. Also, I don't want to touch it because it seems covered in blood. I hope whoever was injured got stitched up. So I'm just leaving it in case you come back to find it. And I hope you do. I know how it feels to forget my phone at home. It's torture. Now, first of all, this note doesn't mean that Stitch is coming back, but it is 100% a reference to him. Not only does it mention getting stitched up, if you have a closer look at that sat phone, it is the same sat phone that Stitch used in actually a couple of the cutscenes from the Black Ops Cold War seasonal content.
You have the package.
We have the numbers data.
Complete your mission. Has made your predicament clear?
Yes.
I have a problem. You fix it. You don't end up like your colleagues. The jump seat constellation is broadcasting on frequencies I need cleared. You are going to deorbit them.
Now again, if you still think that they are not talking about Stitch, the last line there where they said it's torture is once again referring to Stitch. You see, in season 1 of Black Ops Cold War, when we were first introduced to him, we were also being reintroduced to Rebirth Island as well. And when we found out that when the original raid happened during Black Ops 1, Stitch was one of the people working there. He was captured by Russell Adler and tortured for information. In fact, it's his entire backstory and how he became a member of Perseus, because after he was tortured and wouldn't give up any of his employers, he was thrown into a gulag. Now, when he was thrown into the gulag, no one ever came to his rescue for years, until someone did. Someone by the name of Perseus, hence why Stitch was always so loyal. Now, I say he is making a return because of the leaks that have come out, but here's the thing. How can this make any sense at all if the last time we saw Stitch back in the year 1984, Russell Adler was holding a gun to his head, and by the very end, we clearly at least hear him pull the trigger? Well, Call of Duty has a rule. If you don't see someone die, they are probably not dead. So let's briefly talk about how it is possible that Stitch returns. Now, this comes courtesy of Season 3's cinematic for Black Ops 6. Now, this takes place in 1991, and we are watching a tape from the past before Jason Hudson was killed. They could do something very, very similar to this with Stitch, especially considering the story that they are working with in this tape here is the fact that Pantheon, the new big bad guy on the block, has been tied up with the Russians, was tied up with Perseus, and all of these bad things that were going on in the world were also going on with Pantheon. So maybe some sort of tie-in between Perseus and Pantheon. However, we have a rule on this channel, and that is, especially in Call of Duty, if you don't see a character on screen die, they are probably not dead. Now, recently, we've also seen characters on screen who have died who are probably not dead as well, but specifically, if you don't see them die, they are probably not dead. And Stitch is a great example. We hear the trigger pulled, but we don't see anything that happens after that. And on top of this, if we read through the note, it pretty much perfectly exemplifies what is going on with him. Essentially, in this note, they found years later this old phone. We will come back to that in a second. So we know that this is well after the year 1984 that this was found. On top of this, they mention the numbers, they mention stitched up, and they also mention tortured. So basically what they're saying is that this phone was found covered in blood. Now that doesn't mean that he's alive, but showing this in a hospital next to a bunch of things that would be used for surgical procedures with his phone makes us think that his phone at the very least made its way back to the hospital, which would make us think that Stitch made his way back to the hospital. Now, this also may not matter. They may do this more so of a flashback thing because we actually have somewhat of a good idea when the new Warzone map, Warzone or Verdansk 2025, actually takes place. Let me show you the one thing that we found with the Easter eggs this season. So in train station, in the newly opened train station that is, you can find the note that says the following, and yes, this is very confusing. Tomorrow is the grand opening of the 5th anniversary exhibit, and I've been asked to clarify, we are only displaying inoperable equipment. Also note, you are not allowed to test equipment in case it is in fact operable. So you can only use what will not work for displays, not displays that you cannot use because it would work. I am happy we've cleared this up. Train station administration. So yes, oddly confusing, but you may notice it's the 5th anniversary of the exhibit at train station. When did the train station open? Back on season 5 of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, which was in the year 2000. In other words, this points towards this version of Verdansk that was just released, taking place indeed in the year 2025. Now, there is a counter argument to this because in the exact same area that you find this note, there's also several posters for the 5th anniversary of really all of the Warzone maps. And on top of that, the notes that you find throughout the entirety of Verdansk all are in relation to the various different Warzone maps that have been released over the past 5 years, which leads me to believe that what we are seeing here with all of the notes may be more so of what was supposed to be a 5th anniversary Warzone event, but the map never got released in time. But again, that is just me guessing. Now, going back to Stitch, now, if you are wondering how is that possible, there's another note that explains this, and I already made a video about how Verdansk was never actually nuked, never actually bombed, and none of that actually took place. That'll be linked down in the description if you want to check it out. But yeah, that's another note that is found on the new Verdansk map. And this brings us back to the Stitch note. It first of all mentions how old the phone that was found was. So if Stitch is coming back, it doesn't mean that he's alive. It doesn't mean that Adler didn't kill him. It means that they're bringing him back potentially in a very similar way to what we saw with Jason Hudson. And that's kind of more so what I'm expecting and how he will be an operator coming into season 4. Now, here's the thing. I don't know whether we have found all of the notes at this point. Notes have not been found in the dam area. Notes have not been found in military base and in several other locations around the map as well. Also, 2 notes have been found in prison, so on and so forth. I might have a video specifically just on all of the notes coming out soon. And if you want to see that, you can show me by hitting a like button. But I just wanted to make this video about the return of Stitch. I'm very curious to see how they do so. But yeah, there's a note that points towards it. There's been data mined files that point towards it, and to be quite honest, I truly believe that they're going to bring back Stitch, as he's looked at as one of the greatest villains that they've ever had in a Call of Duty game. So let me know what you think of Stitch down in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy these type of story videos. I got something big, hopefully coming tomorrow if I can get it done. So stay tuned, make sure to subscribe, have notifications on, and until next time, peace.
We are reaching for the stars.